Wait, what's your name? I was tired of getting up early, but Jeffrey had yelled as soon as he noticed the girl was leaving. I honestly couldn't care less what her name was. I was sleepy, hungry, and probably dying of cold. My name's Emily. The girl sounded uncertain whether we were on her side or not, so I made the most menacing face I could think of. She didn't even seem to pay attention to me, but she still started walking away. I turned to Jeffrey. Okay, so now we need to find some vegetables and go back to... Wait! Come back. He interrupted me. Jeffrey started running after Emily, and I wouldn't have bothered to follow him if he wasn't my only way of not getting lost. Do you have anywhere to go? You'll be safe with us. Jeffrey seemed keen to have her stay with us for some reason. I'll be okay. Leave me alone. And she left, to Jeffrey's dismay. Okay. We walked silently for a few hours, and I was starting to go hungry. Do you think we'll find vegetables soon? I looked around. There were fewer buildings around us, and the ground was covered in yellowish blades of grass. Are we lost? Jeffrey seemed lost in his thoughts since the girl had left. He was looking straight in the front of him and seemed almost empty. Jeffrey? She was so much beautiful hair. And her eyes. Did you see her eyes? I don't think I'll ever see such a pretty shade of blue ever again. What is he talking about? My eyes were blue too, and he didn't care about me. So why was he fussing over her? I'm the one who dares to love him. Jeffrey, I'm hungry. Hungry? Oh dear, she mustn't have been so hungry. We should have given her something to eat. But we don't have any food. Jeffrey was getting annoying. She was such in a bad shape. I should have been more delicate with her after what they did to her. I'm such a bad person, Nathan. She must hate me so much. I didn't say anything. We were both going to die of hunger because of Jeffrey's stupid attitudes. What, do you think I have a chance with her? I'm pretty handsome after all. He was talking to himself now. Shut up! I snapped at him. Just shut up already! And he did. For 2 seconds. We should go back and find her. Then we could all go somewhere and live happily without the master bullies. And maybe I could find you a girlfriend, and we could all have kids. And then they would all have kids too, and we would. Kids? Shut up, shut up, shut up! I don't care! I'm not listening! I put my hands on my ears and blocked the sound. I faintly hear him say, Come, Nathan, our future is awaiting. And he ran in the opposite direction, and I followed him. After a few hours, we finally got back to where we came from, and I was starving. Emily, Emily! Jeffrey was walking around yelling like an idiot. She must have been far away. She had left early in the morning while it was still dark and the sun was high in the sky. I sat down and took out the piece of rat out of my pocket. I had to eat something. It smelled awful, and as soon as I put a piece in my mouth, I threw up. Of excitement! No, I wanted to die. Okay. I had to find something else to eat, but the streets were empty. Apart from Jeffrey, who was still yelling. I jumped off Jeffrey so that he could stop. Jeffrey! I'm hungry! But Nathan, if you're hungry, she's hungry and scared. What if someone hurt her? Absolutely pathetic. You won't find her if you don't eat. You'll die before you can see her again, and you look stupid. I'm sure she can take care of herself. I wasn't actually sure that she could take care of herself, but I just want Jeffrey to go back to normal. You're right. Sorry for being annoying. He sounded genuinely sorry, but I was just relieved that he would focus on finding food now. And me. We must have spent hours looking for food, but Jeffrey managed to find a dead squirrel under a bush. If I hadn't been so hungry, I would never have eaten uncooked meat, but I didn't have much of a choice. If I didn't want to, I'll digest myself. The squirrel didn't smell nearly as bad as my rat, which, to my deception, I had forgotten somewhere in the streets, so I assumed it was edible. But I would have asked Jeffrey to let me keep the bones, but I was almost sure he wouldn't. It made me feel better, although I was also thirsty. Water wasn't that hard to find though. There were puddles almost everywhere, but I tried to find the cleanest ones to drink from. The sun was going to set, and the darkness was soon going to take over again. Jeffrey asked me if I had a sharp rock, so I gave him the one I had kept in my pocket. I had nothing to use on anymore anyways. He started a fire somehow, and we both lay down next to it together. He then gave me back my rock, my precious rock. Rocky. I was still cold, but certainly warmer than the last night with Jeffrey by my side. The smoke kind of looked like fog, but after a while, I noticed that it was darker and smelled different. It also hurt my eyes and made it harder to breathe when it was coming my way. I wanted to know how fog and smoke could look so similar, yet be so different, but I doubt Jeffrey knew the answer. He wasn't asleep, his eyes were open, but he didn't move much. He looked straight at the sky, where a tiny speck of light could be seen through the fog, which was getting more transparent. My mom used to spend a lot of time telling me about the stars when I was younger, maybe 5 or 4 years old. She told me that they were all far away, but that I could reach them someday if I wanted it hard enough. She said I could do anything, but I doubted stars were reachable. Why would I want to see them up close anyway? Nathan, are you awake? Jeffrey asked a dumb question sometimes. Of course I was awake. My eyes were open just like his. You know what I said earlier? We could run away. No one is going to care whether or not we come back to that orphanage. I stayed silent. Was there really somewhere else to go? We probably won't find Emily, but we could leave just the two of us for a while, and then maybe we could find some other girl or something. I don't know, maybe you and me behind the bush or something. Okay, let's come back. Okay. We probably won't find Emily. Oh, why would I have any interest in girls when I have Jeffrey? Why did Jeffrey have any interest in girls? Why did the boys have an interest in girls? What was so interesting about girls? Nathan? I have nothing to say. How old are you? I think I was 11 last time I celebrated my birthday with my mom. Or maybe 10. I didn't really know, to be honest. I didn't have any way of keeping track of time at the orphanage. I was only able to tell the time of the day based on the sun and if I was hungry or sleepy. How was your mom? I didn't want to ask her to answer his question. He didn't need to know anything about my mom. He waited for an answer from me for a while, but finally gave in and fell asleep. Good night, Nathan. Good night, Nathan. My mom's voice echoed in my head, but I fell asleep before I could start remembering what she looked like. Good night, Nathan. My precious child. I woke up the next day shivering. The fire had gone out during the night. Jeffrey was still sleeping, so I went to wake him up. He had done the same the day before, after all. He let out a moan, opened his eyes, and finally got up. I could tell that he was tired and would have slept longer, but it only made me feel better about waking him up. What's wrong with you? He wailed, and I simply grinned. The day was announcing itself to be dull, as the sky was dark grey, and I could already feel small raindrops sliding on my skin. I was still shivering, and being wet only made me colder. You're going to get sick, Jeffrey remarked. I already knew that. My mother had always told me not to go outside in the rain, especially with only a t-shirt on, but I didn't have much of a choice. I sneezed. Achoo! I told you, Jeffrey smiled. We should get going. Those vegetables aren't going to find themselves, I said. Jeffrey was obviously mocking me, and I didn't like it. He only thought he was better than me because he had a jacket and I didn't. He's always teasing me. Where do vegetables grow? Jeffrey asked, but I didn't know the answer, so we just walked around for a while trying to find one. There wasn't even grass in the city, so it was kind of stupid of us to believe that we would find a carrot or something just lying there, but we didn't know any better. After a while, we both couldn't go any farther. We were hungry, cold, and tired. Maybe we should try lurking inside the houses, I suggested. It must be warm inside the habitations, and the people living there probably ate vegetables too. You mean break into someone's house and steal their belongings? I don't think we're allowed to do that, Jeffrey said. Well, do you have any better ideas? I challenged him, and he didn't know. So we started walking towards the nearest house. I looked inside the window to see if the coast was clear. There were no lights, and everything seemed quiet. So I asked Jeffrey to see if he could open the door. Unfortunately, it was locked, so he broke a window and got in with slight difficulty. The inside was different from where we lived. The floor was harder, the walls were made from wood, it was warmer. I could hear a fire in the fireplace. It was certainly bigger than the one Jeffrey had made the previous night. The only source of light was a candle sitting on what I guessed was the dining table. This house was definitely inhabited, but the owners must have gone to work or something. Jeffrey and I walked across the dusty floor, which could have used some cleaning, and got to a cupboard that we figured could contain vegetables. We opened it, and to our consternation, it contained plates and bowls instead of food. And they weren't positioned correctly because the plate fell on the floor and made the loudest noise you could imagine a plate could make. We froze when we heard footsteps coming down the stairs a few moments later. We eventually saw another lady advancing towards us. We wanted to run away, but we were both too stunned to do so. She wasn't happy at all and almost looked as menacing as our master. I had forgotten how early it was. We had probably woken her up, and I could understand why some people would be mad to see two teenagers scavenging into their house first thing in the morning. "What in the world are you doing in my house?" she yelled. Neither of us answered. It wasn't long before we heard more footsteps and another person, a man this time, came in front of us. I got scared. "Jeffrey, run!" I said, and we both unfroze and headed outside as fast as we could. For the first time in the past few days, I wasn't cold. In fact, I was sweating. My heart was beating so hard I could hear it. I looked behind me to see if someone was following us, but I didn't see anyone. I thought the coast was clear. We stopped to catch our breath. We barely had time to cool down before I saw a human-shaped shadow come towards us. Before I had time to grasp what was going on, a tall man grabbed me by the arm. He was way stronger than I was. I glanced at Jeffrey, and another man, a little smaller, was holding him too. There was no way of escaping. "We got you now," the taller man said, smiling in a scary way.